What's up, YouTube? Welcome back. 500 Bushwhacker testing continued today. Test number 3 in the ammo test series. Today we have the rifle out. Yesterday we had the revolver out. We were shooting a 98 grains of powder behind a 275 grain Barnes XPB solid copper Hollowpoint. This is a total butt whooper of a cartridge. It works really well in the 500 Magnum. It works pretty darn crazy in the 500 Magnum, or the 500 Bushwhacker. You saw that in yesterday's gel testing. Now today we have the rifle version. We're gonna increase the velocity big time. I don't know what's gonna happen. These things put the brakes on pretty heavy when this Hollowpoint hits something like gel, because they just open up and get such a flat face to them. They tend to shatter off. If you saw the test from yesterday, you'll see what happens when they do shatter. They send pieces of shrapnel everywhere. I really don't know what to expect with this. We have 60 inches of gel block lined up. 20, 40, 60, 10% clear ballistics. This one's already been hit, but don't worry about that. We're worried about the clear one, and we'll see if we pass through to the other part. We're gonna try to chronograph test this. Now, I don't know if the chronograph's working properly in the light conditions that we have right now here in dreary Ohio. I can't stand living here, but it is what it is. We're gonna do better chronograph testing and a better day, but for now, it is what it is with the numbers. I will shut up. Let's get to shooting. All right, we're about 20 feet off that gel and chronograph. Let's let one rip. 275 grain Barnes. Totally destroying stuff again. Let's go take a look. And we did get a velocity that time of 3,009. That's pretty cool. 3,009. All right, I cleaned the block and remelted the edges of it so we could see it. That's a really gnarly entrance wound right there. You can see how it just immediately starts charring and starring. Coming around to the side, immediate char effect. That is one heck of a permanent wound cavity. I mean, that thing is massive. That thing lost a lot of energy right there. You saw the foot-pounds of energy. You got 275 grains of projectile, 3,000 feet per second. And then you even see these little shards that have come off, these pieces of copper. Only one of them really stayed in the block. We've lost a few elsewhere. And then the bullet keeps continuing down until it is enveloped in its own little air bubble down here. Totally flattened out, but really pretty looking. Let's get the tape on it. So that thing is sitting right at 17 inches. I can tell you it's a huge projectile. You can see it's about an inch wide. It did not make it the full 20 inches of the block, but it's got a nice piercing wound channel there at the end. But at the previous part of that wound channel, holy crap, that is an absolute hand grenade going off. Let's look from the top. By the way, that permanent wound channel right there, the massive part of it is 7-8 inches long. All right, there you go. Boom, the same explosion effect. You're not going to see much different from the top. Going down, and it's opened up nice flat like a pancake right there. Pretty impressive. Let me show you the side view from the handgun rounds previously so we can compare a little bit. So if you haven't seen a handgun test, you really should take a look. It's pretty cool. You get to see the slow motion and all that, but these are the block, or this is the block that we use for that. So you can see the same explosionary type of effect right there in the beginning. Massive wound channel. These were 2 different rounds that went through here. They shear off their petals, but they didn't quite make it out of the block, and then they pierce through into the next block just by a couple inches, but they were there. So when we get to the rifle round going so much faster, it's definitely putting the brakes on, like I said, because it just has this huge frontal density or frontal mass to it where it cannot push through the block like a piercing full metal jacket type of a bullet or a hard cast, something like that. So there you see the difference. I usually don't show the 2 different tests in the same video. You guys are getting an awesome bonus today, but there you go. And then if you want to check back to the Smith & Wesson 500 Magnum video, and then where we hand-loaded the XPB Barnes in there to confirm if it was the same projectile or not, you get to see a whole bunch of different information. You get to see 500 core bond loaded, 500 hand-loaded, Bushwhacker Revolver then, and then now Bushwhacker Rifle. 4 different tests with this projectile, and I think it tells a lot about different speeds with this projectile. So when we dug the bullets out from the handgun testing, this is what we had. You see they peeled back pretty good and lost all but 2 of their petals on both of them. they looked really actually pretty close to each other. If you put them side by side, they pretty much did the same thing very uniformly. Now, when we come over here to the one we shot through the rifle, totally different story. This thing does not do the same thing. This lost all of its pedals. It got a lot flatter. It's not going to weigh the same at all. And it got a little bit, let me flip that. It got a lot bit fatter here in the front. You guys will have the measurements up in the corner, but crazy difference. And here's what at least the chronograph said about these two projectiles and then the velocity on this projectile. So if all that is correct, then wow, that extra like 800 to 1,000 feet per second, you see what it does to a solid hunk of copper. Pretty crazy. So there you go. If everything went right, you should have 4 days in a row of that 275 grain bullet. Core bond loaded, my hand loads for the 500 Magnum, then you got the Bushwhacker Revolver, then the Bushwhacker Rifle. A whole bunch of information for that projectile. I think you'll get the idea of what you will be able to do with it at different velocities. Hope you enjoy this kind of testing. Thank you for watching this testing. And until we see you next time, stay safe, have fun, and keep shooting the biggest bore stuff you can find.